The galaxy's deadliest assassin melted when he called her beautiful. Part 1. The galaxy was vast, loud, and full of danger, but Kale Varric moved through it like silence itself. His name was known in places where people whispered instead of speaking aloud. He was called the deadliest assassin not because he enjoyed fear, but because he never failed. Every mission was planned with perfect care. Every move was calculated. Emotions had no place in his work. Kale had grown up learning one simple rule: survive by being better than everyone else. He learned to observe, to wait, and to act only when success was guaranteed. Over the years, contracts came and went. Powerful leaders, criminal lords, and hidden organizations all trusted him to solve problems that no one else could. Kale never asked why. He only focused on how. This time, the contract was different. The message arrived through an encrypted channel, carrying a reward larger than any he had seen before. The target was a human scientist named Leora Selene. She worked in the Epsilon sector, on a private orbital research station. According to the file, she had created a new navigation system that could guide ships safely through the most unstable regions of space. Whoever controlled her work could control trade routes, exploration, and even future colonies. Kale studied the details with his usual calm focus. Leora Selene, age 32, occupation astronavigation scientist, no combat training, no known enemies. The file labeled her as high value. To Kale, she was a mission. Still, something about the contract made him pause. Too many groups wanted her gone instead of captured. That was unusual. Kale made a note of it but did not question further. He prepared his ship, a small black craft designed for stealth, and set course for the Epsilon sector. The journey took several days. During that time, Kale reviewed every possible detail of the station: entry points, security systems, patrol patterns, escape routes. He memorized the structure until he could picture it perfectly in his mind. Preparation was safety. Preparation was survival. When he finally arrived, the station floated quietly against a field of distant stars. Soft lights glowed along its curved frame, giving it a peaceful appearance. Kale reduced his ship's signature and moved into position, unseen by sensors. He activated his visual feed and focused on the interior cameras. That was when he first saw her. Leora Selene stood alone in the main laboratory, surrounded by floating holographic displays. Lines of light moved as she adjusted calculations with calm confidence. Her hair was tied back carelessly and her face showed deep concentration. She spoke softly to herself as she worked, correcting numbers and testing outcomes. Kale felt an unexpected hesitation. He had seen many targets before: powerful, dangerous, cruel, but Leora was different. She looked peaceful, focused, alive. There was no fear in her movements, no awareness that someone dangerous watched from the dark. Kale reminded himself that this meant nothing. Appearances did not matter. He continued observing. Hours passed as Leora worked. She checked systems, spoke to support staff through short messages, and carefully reviewed her research. Kale noticed how she treated others with respect, even when correcting mistakes. Her voice was firm but kind. It was efficient but never cold. Kale had never noticed such things before. He moved his ship closer and docked in a shadowed maintenance bay. Inside the station, he disabled sensors without triggering alerts. His movements were precise, practiced, perfect. If he chose to act, the mission would be over quickly. Yet he did not move. From a hidden observation corridor, Kale watched Leora solve a complex problem involving unstable gravity waves. Her solution was elegant and simple, something even advanced systems struggled to calculate. Kale felt a strange sense of respect. Her mind was powerful not in force but in clarity. For the first time in years, Kale questioned his role. Was removing her truly necessary? He pushed the thought aside. Questioning contracts was dangerous. Still, the doubt remained. Leora stepped away from her workstation and stretched, clearly tired. She smiled when a navigation test succeeded, a small moment of quiet joy. Kale felt something shift inside him, something unfamiliar and uncomfortable. He did not like it, but he could not ignore it either. He followed her movements through the station. She checked life support systems, reviewed security logs, and sent a report to a research council. She worked not for power, but for progress. That much was clear. Kale realized something important. If she disappeared, the galaxy would lose more than a scientist. It would lose a future. The thought stayed with him. He noticed a framed image on her desk, a family photo. Leora stood beside two older figures, all smiling. Kale stared at it longer than necessary. He could not remember the last time he had seen something like that in his own life. His comm system buzzed softly, a reminder of the contract deadline. Kale closed the message. He remained hidden as Leora finished her work and dimmed the lights. She paused near the window, looking out at the stars. For a brief moment she looked small against the vast universe, yet determined. Kale understood then that strength came in many forms. He withdrew silently, returning to his ship without leaving any trace. But instead of leaving the sector, he stayed close, watching, protecting. The mission was no longer simple. As he drifted in orbit, Kale replayed the image of Leora in his mind, her focus, her calm, her quiet courage. He did not know what he would do next, but he knew one thing for certain. He could not complete the contract as ordered. Somewhere deep inside, the galaxy's deadliest assassin felt something he thought he had lost forever. Respect, admiration, a spark of humanity. And though he did not say the word aloud, a single thought formed clearly in his mind as he watched her station glow against the stars. Beautiful. The mission had only just begun. Kale Varick had spent the night orbiting Leora Seleni's station, his mind alive with questions and doubts. The first mission to eliminate her had changed in ways he had never expected. Instead of fear or aggression, he felt something entirely new, a protective instinct, a spark of admiration that he could not ignore. In the cold expanse of space, he realized that Leora's life, her brilliance, and her courage were too valuable to destroy. As dawn broke over the Epsilon sector, the lab station glimmered like a jewel. Inside, Leora worked tirelessly, unaware that Kale observed from orbit. She monitored the navigation grids, making minor adjustments to the starship paths. Kale noticed how she smiled at her success, her energy radiating warmth even in the sterile environment. It was impossible for him to deny the pull he felt toward her. Every movement she made drew his attention. Every word she spoke lingered in his thoughts. Suddenly, Kale's sensors picked up movement in the outer docking bay. Rival assassins, alerted by the bounty on Leora's life, had arrived. They were faster, more numerous than he had anticipated, armed with tracking devices and capture equipment. The tension tightened around him like a vice. Normally, he would have faced them head-on with precise strikes, neutralizing the threat without hesitation. But now, Kale had to think differently. Leora's life and the potential of her genius demanded more than efficiency. It demanded strategy, caution, and protection. Kale maneuvered his ship stealthily through the docking corridors, tracking the intruders without revealing his presence. The assassins were methodical, moving in formation, scanning for any sign of Leora. Kale analyzed every option, every possible outcome, every escape route. For the first time in his career, he considered working not to end a mission, but to prevent one from failing catastrophically. Protecting a life became more important than completing a contract. Inside the lab, Leora heard a faint alarm triggered by the outer sensors. Her training as a scientist included security protocols, and she acted quickly, sealing doors and activating emergency measures. She was unarmed, but her intelligence gave her an advantage. Kale watched her work, his admiration growing. Every decision she made was precise, thoughtful, and effective. He realized that she could survive far longer than most humans because of her mind, not her strength. The rival assassins approached the station's docking bay, unaware that Kale was already countering their moves. He used the environment to his advantage, redirecting their sensors, disabling communication signals, and creating confusion among their ranks. Every step Kale took was measured, ensuring that Leora remained safe. He had become something he had never been before, a guardian. Protecting life had replaced eliminating it. Inside her lab, Leora noticed subtle shifts in the system, corrections being made without her intervention. At first, she was confused, but then she realized someone was helping her. Her curiosity flared. Who could be assisting her without permission? She scanned the logs, and a name appeared briefly in a hidden signature, Kale Varric. She had heard rumors of him but never imagined the infamous assassin could act in her favor. Kale realized it was time to make direct contact, but he had to be careful. If Leora suspected danger from the wrong source, it could compromise both their lives. He activated a secure comm channel, sending a simple message: "Stay calm. I am here to help." The message was brief, but the tone carried reassurance. Leora paused, her initial fear giving way to cautious trust. The assassins reached the outer doors, attempting to bypass security. Kale acted swiftly, using non-lethal tactics to disable their entry systems and disarm them without confrontation. It was a delicate balance. He could not harm them, yet he had to prevent them from reaching Leora. His strategy relied on distraction, precision, and timing, and it worked flawlessly. One by one, the intruders were forced to retreat, confused and defeated by unseen forces. Inside the lab, Leora felt a strange relief as the alarm ceased. She realized someone had intervened, saving her from imminent danger. She scanned her security feeds and saw Kale's signature just once, a fleeting shadow that ensured her safety. It was enough. She did not fully understand him yet, but she sensed his intentions were genuine. Kale hovered nearby, observing her as she worked to restore normal operations. He admired her resilience and calm under pressure. Unlike previous targets who had been unaware or frightened, Leora faced challenges with intelligence and courage. Every action she took reinforced his decision. She was someone to be protected, not eliminated. Over the next hours, Kale and Leora established subtle communication. At first, it was cautious, limited to encrypted messages and indirect guidance. He offered strategic advice, helping her improve station defenses and optimize her research workflow. Leora noticed the effectiveness of the guidance, gradually trusting the unseen ally. A bond formed, quiet but unmistakable. Kale was no longer a shadowy observer. He had become a presence in her life, albeit hidden and anonymous. As the day progressed, Kale finally took a calculated risk. He materialized in a secure section of the lab, carefully shielding his appearance from cameras and sensors. Leora, startled by the sudden figure, froze for a moment, analyzing the unexpected visitor. Kale did not approach aggressively. He kept his posture neutral and non-threatening. His eyes, usually cold and calculating, now reflected admiration and respect. "You are remarkable," Kale said softly, his voice steady but carrying sincerity. "I have seen many things in my life, but nothing like your mind, your focus, your courage." Leora blinked, uncertain whether to trust him, but something in his tone felt genuine. For a moment, the notorious assassin, feared across galaxies, was human. He could not deny what he felt. In a quiet, unguarded instant, he added, almost involuntarily, "You are beautiful." The words were not about appearance alone. They reflected the admiration he had developed for her intelligence, her spirit, and her humanity. Leora's initial shock faded into curiosity. Here was someone who had every reason to fear or harm her, yet he spoke with honesty and admiration. She felt a connection, fragile yet undeniable, bridging the gap between hunter and observed. The moment was simple, yet transformative. Kale's acknowledgement of her worth, her brilliance, and her essence shifted the dynamic between them entirely. Over the next days, the two worked together, combining Kale's strategic skills and Leora's scientific genius. They reinforced the station's security, developed advanced navigation systems, and anticipated potential threats. Kale found that protecting Leora gave him a sense of purpose beyond contracts and rewards. For Leora, the mysterious ally became a source of guidance and inspiration, someone who understood her challenges without judgment. Despite the growing trust, danger remained. Other factions in the galaxy still sought Leora's work, and Kale knew the threats were far from over. But now he approached every challenge with a new perspective. Violence was no longer the first option. Strategy, intelligence, and collaboration became his tools. The galaxy's deadliest assassin had discovered a new mission: preserving life, fostering innovation, and nurturing the human spirit in ways he had never considered. As night fell once more over the Epsilon sector, Kale watched Leora from a hidden vantage point, a silent guardian in the void of space. He reflected on the days that had passed, on the unexpected bond that had formed, and on the remarkable resilience of a human mind. He realized that the most formidable strength in the galaxy was not in weapons or reputation, but in the courage, intelligence, and heart of one human being. And for the first time, Kale Varric, the deadliest assassin, understood the power of admiration, protection, and respect. He knew that challenges would come, and enemies would strike, but he was ready. Together, in unspoken understanding, they would face the dangers of the galaxy, proving that even the most feared assassin could be moved by the brilliance and humanity of another. Kale had changed, and so had the course of the mission. Humanity, in its quiet courage and intelligence, had won the first victory, and the story was far from over. Kale Varric felt it before the sensors confirmed it. Too many signals, too much movement. Ships entering the sector without proper clearance. Someone had spread the information about Leora Selini's work, and now the galaxy had come knocking. From his ship, Kale watched multiple vessels slow near the research station. None of them displayed open hostility, but Kale knew better. Danger did not always announce itself. Often, it arrived politely. Inside the station, Leora stood at her main console, reviewing incoming requests. Messages poured in from governments, research groups, and private organizations. All of them wanted meetings. All of them wanted access. She felt uneasy. Kale opened a secure channel. "You are not imagining the danger," he said calmly. "They are testing your defenses." Leora exhaled slowly. "I knew this day would come," she replied. "I hoped I would have more time." Kale studied the situation. Direct confrontation was not an option. Too many eyes, too many interests. If chaos broke out here, Leora and her work would be lost. This required something Kale had rarely used before: trust. "We need to leave," he said. "Not run, move forward." Leora hesitated only briefly. "I trust you," she said. Those words carried more weight than any contract Kale had ever accepted. Together, they prepared a plan. Leora would transmit a partial version of her navigation system to public research archives. Not enough to misuse, but enough to remove its value as a secret weapon. Knowledge, once shared, became protection. Kale handled the rest. He rerouted traffic signals, redirected incoming ships with polite but firm instructions, and created controlled delays. No lies, no threats, just strategy. As the hours passed, tension filled the sector, but nothing exploded, nothing collapsed. The danger faded slowly, like a storm choosing another path. When it was over, Leora leaned back in her chair, exhausted. "You protected more than me," she said quietly. "You protected the future." Kale did not answer immediately. He looked at his hands, tools once used only for endings. Now they had helped preserve something fragile and powerful. "I did what should have been done," he said. Days passed. The station became a center for cooperation instead of conflict. Leora worked with open councils. Her technology guided rescue ships, explorers, and supply fleets. The galaxy changed, not through force but through shared progress. Kale stayed nearby, unseen by most. He was no longer hunted, but he was no longer hiding either. His reputation faded into rumor. One evening, Leora invited him to stand beside her at the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before them. "You could leave," she said gently. "No one would stop you." Kale considered it. For the first time, walking away felt easy. "I choose to stay," he said. Leora smiled, not because she needed him, but because she understood him. The galaxy's deadliest assassin was no longer defined by fear. He had chosen something harder than survival. He had chosen humanity. And in that choice, the galaxy became a little brighter. The galaxy's deadliest assassin melted when he called her beautiful.